Go ahead, Stan.
Welcome into Press Box Live, brought to you by the Costas Inn, with now two great locations. The old location, 54 years at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and the new location, second floor of the grandstand, right next to the OTB at Timonium Racetrack, the Maryland State Fairgrounds at the racetrack. Same great food. The only difference, aside from the pork chops, I don't know, Ross, how you had
Yeah.
pork chops, because I was there the other night and
You didn't have them?
They didn't have them in Timonium. But anyway,
Maybe it was somewhere else.
all
I
right.
thought I had them there.
It was probably at the old location.
Well, I wasn't feeling real good when I was there.
Okay.
So I might have thought I had pork chops, and I might have had crabs and didn't know it.
All right. The steamed crabs are still at North Point Boulevard. They're not doing steamed crabs at this
Right.
Same great family atmosphere, same great service, same great menu. Additionally, so you can get your crab cakes, crab soup, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, at the great Costas Inn. All right, guys, I thought we'd talk 10, 15 minutes about the Orioles season and then take a look at the playoffs and sprinkle in a little of the press conference that I was at today, which I'll give you my simple observation. I left that press conference even more impressed with Tony Mansolino than I have been, but it was an odd press conference. And I thought it was going to be odd the other way. I had heard that they were both going to be there, and I thought they were going to share the dais, so to speak. But it turned out that Tony spoke first to the media and answered questions for about 25 minutes. And then Mike came in about 3 minutes later and answered questions for about 45 minutes. I left feeling that although I genuinely believe Mike Elias has become very fond of Tony Mansolino, I think they're going to explore for the next 2 to 3 weeks. They'll be interviewing some people for this job. Just along those lines, Bob Melvin was let go today. Rocco Baldelli was let go today. Two managers that will be back are Don Kelly with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've announced an extension, which means they're giving him one more year. I mean, it didn't say anything about like a 3-year extension. It was very vague about that. So I'm assuming he's getting like one more year at $2 million, and he's probably thrilled. And also back is Carlos Mendoza, who I thought after the epic collapse of the Mets would lose his job, but David Stearns is somebody that doesn't bite at that apple. He's a big believer in consistency and continuity. So Bob Melvin is an interesting guy here. He's got ties to Cal Ripken Jr., and he's got ties to Jim Palmer. So I imagine, I'm not saying he's getting the job, but I would imagine he'd be somebody that they'd want to talk to.
Yeah, I just in listening to the little bit of Mike's press conference that I did, I agree with your position that there's probably going to be a new manager in Baltimore, I would say by the end of October. Because it's one of those things where if they were so thoroughly impressed with Tony, and I'm sure they were impressed with Tony, they played okay after he took over. I think they were like 2 games over 500, something like that. Which for a team that was 14 games under when he took over, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Really,
it's really good.
Really,
especially when they trade about a third of your team away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I'm sure, after the season or shortly before the season ended, Mike and Tony talked, and Tony was like, "Okay, what are we thinking?" And if Mike said, "What are you talking about, man? You're part of the solution. I want you around," then that would have been that. But if Mike says, like I'm sure he did, like, maybe, I don't know, I'm going to look for other guys. Like, it's probably time for Tony to start talking to his agent about looking for other opportunities, because once you start to go enter that door where you're talking to other people, you're probably going to bring somebody else in, I would think.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing, one other observation before we sort of do a post-mortem on the season a little bit. I left, Luke, you didn't hear me talking to Ross off the air. I left with the impression, because I asked Mike directly, wouldn't it be the correct thing to do to bring in the general manager
Mhm.
first, to have him be a part of the search and the interview process, to feel like a buy-in that he's
Right.
part of this? And he said, yeah, that would be the sort of the right way to do it, but we might not hire general manager for, you know, I he didn't say we won't hire general manager. He said we're kind of using that title to lure somebody to the organization. So I see the person being more like a special assistant type
Right.
of job.
Yeah, they need to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, first of all, that's a terrific question, Stan, and I'm glad somebody asked it because it had to be asked, and
Yeah.
because you want to get a feel for what they think is the most important jobs and what should be hired first. And it seemed clear to me that that priority number one of the offseason for Mike is hiring a field manager first.
Yeah. That's
And
his number one priority.
and I can sort of I understand why, because then you have to fill in the entire coaching staff behind him, and in today's game, those coaching staffs are pretty big, and it's very competitive to get good coaches, as Ross knows. And so Ross, you probably have a better idea than me when terms of when a manager gets hired, what the process is like to fill out a coaching staff, a good coaching staff.
No, yeah, well, I mean, you got to get some people that actually play the game. That's a big plus. And getting guys that, I mean, where the Orioles are at. I mean, they were on the doorstep of progressing into the playoffs and possibly going to the World Series with the people they had. Injuries, obviously, but I think uh, as I think some of the people that got traded away mentioned, kind of leadership in the clubhouse was questionable. And as they, as the guys were traded away, and that was interesting thing. But a new manager, I can see a manager. I can see a manager with possibly some playoff World Series experience, because that's the next step with this club. When they get healthy, when they uh, get the pitching staff, the bullpen regulated, get the defense, the catching, they get that under control somehow. Because I mean, things really, a lot of guys were hurt, but things slid back. The fielding, I was telling Stan last night, the two main spots that were the best were shortstop and first base. The rest were adequate. And that could be.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Kobe was a lot better at first base than
Oh,
I gave
yeah.
him credit for when he started the season. I knew that third base wasn't going to work. I didn't know how first base was going to work. He really came on, especially once he started getting everyday work there. And I
Right.
think that's a credit to who was working with him, Stan.
John Mabry.
Did a nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
worked hard.
Really.
They worked hard at it, and he's got a real solid foundation now to play the position. Well, so I'll just take one exception to what you're saying about defense. I thought Colton Cowser looked terrific in
Uh,
center field.
yeah.
I mean, I'm totally questioning whether he can hit in the big leagues or not.
Well,
But
there's a few guys that
yeah, well, I'm
I
not
mean,
getting into.
and the thing that I mentioned, September is a time when guys get called up, or some of the guys that had been called up right before September. That's when they usually shine, and we didn't see a lot of shining.
Yeah.
And
The only one
So
that really shined, well, Beaver shined for a
yeah,
time. He
for a
ended
time,
up hitting
exactly.
about 230 by the
Yeah,
time it was all said and done. And Jeremiah Jackson, who came up around August 1st, or very early August after the trade deadline, he was hitting 340, 350
he
for a
cooled
time.
off.
yes,
And I'm guessing he finished about 260 and
Right.
was striking
right,
out a lot at the end.
yeah. But I mean, you see a lot of guys. I mean, Henderson was the guy that so he hit 278, something like that.
Yeah.
But the rest of the guys, I mean, they are. I mean, they got some power. They hit some home runs, but hey, you just don't know what's going to happen at the plate a lot of
Yeah.
times, and
One
and that
other
is something that's a concern, I would say.
one other bulletin to come out of the press conference today by Mike Elias. And I've been of the opinion that I would like them to move on from Adley Rutschman. I'll
Mhm.
be very frank. I'm very concerned the guy that's been a year and a half down. But they apparently, I think, really feel it's these injuries, and they basically said today he's going to be the starting catcher.
Which to me, what is that like 100 games for Adley and 60 for Basayo? Or do you want to
Probably
go?
so. Probably 110, 115 for Adley,
Yeah, and I
45,
think for
45, 45 to 50 for Basayo, then probably 30 at first base and another 40 or 45 at DH.
yeah, I think you could also consider a three catcher system where maybe Adley catches 80 games, the third catcher catches 40, and Sammy catches 40, and that keeps them all healthy. But
Yeah.
I think they think a little bit more of Sammy than a 40 game a year catcher. I don't love him as a primary catcher. I've said that before. I think he showed that once he caught a lot, like there was one situation where he caught like 4 times in 5 days, and by the fifth day, it was a mess. It was a total mess. He was exhausted, and so and he's an
And
okay.
that shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't.
That shouldn't
And
happen.
but
No.
Ross, he never caught that much in the minors. He never caught 4 and 5 in the minors. The first time he's doing that is in the majors, and he's exhausted.
So he is the premier future catcher,
No,
and
that's not. No,
he hasn't caught that much.
they
See
think
that?
no. He caught because
Right,
Rutschman was on the IL.
right. But really, I
Oh,
mean,
really?
throughout most of his minor,
I disagree with both of you.
okay.
I think for a 21-year-old, I think he comported himself pretty well. I will say that when pop-ups went up, sometimes I don't think he realized they were above his head. I will say that. There were growing pains, but I think he could catch more than 20 games a year, 30 games.
Stan,
Okay.
you don't want to teach him. He don't need to be learning on a team that possibly go to the playoff and World Series. This is a
Uh,
tough. That's a tough thing to do. I
that's
mean,
a
it's not. It,
that's a
but
stretch that they're going. That's a stretch that they're going to go from last place back to first
no,
place.
exactly. But they were really close to going in the right direction.
Yeah,
And now, I mean, if you go back and you're going to say this kid's going to be your main catcher, then you know what? Let him catch.
Yeah.
Let him catch. But he hadn't caught very much. So I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
now
if
you're
Look, I
rebuilding.
know Dean
You know?
Kramer had a problem with him in one game, and Kramer I think quieted down. I'm not saying that he was happy with him catching, but Trevor Rogers sincerely sounded like he wasn't just. In other words, there's a way not to criticize him, but say, yeah, he did okay. Yeah, he did okay. But he was like glowing in how he caught the game and stuff. And
He's a.
Bradish did the same thing.
Those guys are strike throwers. He just got to hold the glove up.
So
I mean,
Dean Kramer's a
I could get back there and catch those guys.
isn't Dean Kramer a strike thrower to a certain extent?
Not like that. Not like those other
Not like
guys.
Bradish and Rogers, I agree.
Bradish and Rogers are they know where the ball's going most of
And
the time.
Wells is a strike thrower too.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you got some guys there that I mean it makes it easier on the catcher. Now when you start to having to block balls and stuff,
yeah,
which they have a problem with wild pitches, and a lot of those wild pitches shouldn't be wild pitches.
yeah. I agree.
You
I
know,
agree with that. I agree with that. No question about it. Let's take that time out now, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the playoffs coming up because we got the wild card round in the American League and National League starts tomorrow. All the games are on in one day, 1 o'clock on ESPN, 3 o'clock on ABC, 6 o'clock back on ESPN, and 9 o'clock. We'll talk about which games are which and get our predictions on that, uh, and um, and wrap things up. The Costas in, guys. Do we have sick thumbs in the house
my
today?
he
thumbs
got
are
thumbs
up.
and toes and everything.
All right, there we go. 6 thumbs up for the Costas in. Uh, Fantastic meal there the other night at the Timonium location, but it looks like I'm going to have to go out to the other location, North Point Boulevard, a little further for me. So it'll cost me a couple more dollars of gas, but to get my pork chops, I'm going to have to go
Yeah.
out there. But seriously, I talked to Pete. They're doing terrific business at both places right now, and the crabs people are still storming in to North Point Boulevard to get their steamed crabs out there. But great specials Monday through Friday, every night of the week. Remember, Thursday is lobster night. You get a big ass
Ooh.
lobster, $29.95. There's stuffed and plain. The stuffed is a few extra dollars, but huge lobsters there at the Costas Inn. But they got great steaks. They got great pasta dishes, great salads. The Maryland crab soup, the cream of crab soup are both fantastic. So check out the Costas Inn. Again, 4100 North Point Boulevard. That phone number, if you're interested in crabs, 410-477-1975. And the new location, second floor of the grandstand at Timonium Racecourse, right next to the OTB. There's an elevator on both sides of the building to go up there. You can walk up, but try the elevators at the Costas.
That's the safest way to go.
It's the safest
on
way
your
to
legs
go.
and knees.
Yeah, that's right. That's going to do it for Costas Inn. And again, we give them 6 thumbs up to Costas Inn. When are you coming? Are you coming in December, Ross? Will you be in for the
Uh,
holidays?
I don't know. I know we're going west
I don't care
January
when.
1st.
I don't care about West. I
Yeah,
wanted to. I
yeah.
He
wanted to
cares
go
about
to
North.
Costas. I wanted to go to Costas Inn with you.
No, I know. I know.
All right.
We may just come up there just to do that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Why
great
Let's
to
not?
do
have.
it.
It's great to
I
have
know.
money. Great to
It,
have
it's
big time money, Ross.
That's retired ball player
it,
money right
Yeah,
there.
hey,
that's
it's
serious.
worth getting the crabs because we're
That's
having.
MLB pension money. MLBPA pension money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Luke's got a pension at the press box. Yeah.
All
What
right.
It's
exactly?
just
What
it's just for crab cakes though. That's all.
just
That's
for
it.
crap?
Hey.
All right. Guys, the playoffs, they start tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I wrote my predictions today along a adjacent column to my last power rankings of the year. I finished up year number 14. So 1 o'clock tomorrow on ESPN, Cleveland is hosting the Detroit Tigers. At 3 o'clock, San Diego will be at the Chicago Cubs. 6 o'clock, the Yankees will host the Boston Red Sox. And then 9 o'clock, the Los Angeles Dodgers will host the Cincinnati Reds. Epic collapse, Ross, by the Detroit Tigers. No
Oh
team
gosh.
ever lost a 15 and a half game lead before. Do you see any way they can get by the Tigers?
I know
By the Guardians?
Cleveland. I mean, the last 16 games are 3-13. They're 7-17 in September. They're 5-8 against Cleveland. The way Cleveland's playing, I just don't see it. I mean, Cleveland's won the last 5 or 6. Like I said, they're 8-5 against Detroit. So I just think Detroit is they just really collapsed, and I'll be surprised if they're able to win in a short series like
Now
this.
it's a 3-game series. Luke, is Scooble going, and is the prognosis that he's going to be fine?
Yeah, so it's going to be Tariq Skubal and Gavin Williams
Okay,
in
who's been
game
pitching
1.
great.
And
Great
you
ball.
want some serious stuff. You like watching guys, one from the left side, one from the right side, who just have elite stuff and going to light up a radar gun. Watch this game. You're going to have a lot of fun watching that game. Serious stuff out of those two.
So in a 3-game series, if Scooble wins the game, do the Tigers have enough to win one more game in that series?
Well, Montero's been pitching okay, right?
Yeah.
And Flaherty has been up and down all year.
Not so good. Mize he's pitched okay. His last start, I think, in five innings, he gave up 2 runs and struck out 8, no walk.
Yeah, I would imagine that after Scooble, it's going to be bullpen by just basically trying to get by bullpenning, I would think.
Right.
This is where they were hoping Charlie Morton would have
Well, yeah.
Been
I
able to
mean,
help.
I really, he was pitching fairly well in the 6 to 8 weeks leading up to the deadline, and
Yep.
I thought that he would pitch well enough for AJ Hinch to at least stay on the roster, and that just didn't
He
happen.
really
He
went
just
backwards,
ran out of gas.
ran out of gas. By the way, not to interrupt our talk, I thought it was a real class move by the Braves. They signed him, started him yesterday, and I don't know how many batters he pitched to, but he got a strikeout in the first inning.
I think he got
And
4 outs, maybe.
yeah, and then Chris Sale came out with Snitker
Yeah,
and took the ball from him. And it was neat. It was
yeah.
very neat. His family was there, and it was
Morton's
clear
had a
that
good career. He's
Morton had a great career,
yeah.
terrific career. He's not a Hall of Famer, but
No,
he's if he had gotten off to a better start in his career, he would have been a near Hall of Famer. But he was a big time pitcher there for
yeah,
about 5-6 years. Um, so do we all agree we like Cleveland in that series?
I do.
You know what? I'll buck the trend. I'm going with Detroit.
All right, I'm going to go with Cleveland, even though it's a 3-game series and Scooble shuts them down tomorrow. But I just think that I don't know. I haven't liked the Tigers for the last 2 months.
It is a new season, and
Yep.
so and it can sort of take a deep breath. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'll go with Detroit.
Second series, San Diego Padres. They ended up winning, I think, 90 games. Was it? My book in here. Yep. Hold on. San Diego Padres ended up with They ended up at 90 and 72, and the Cubs ended up 93 and the Cubs ended up 92 and 70. 2-game difference. The series starts in Wrigley Field tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and it's Nick Pivetta, and I'm not sure who's starting for the Cubs. I like San Diego a little bit in this series.
I do too.
So Matthew Boyd is starting game one for Chicago. The Cubs have had some rotation injury issues, as
Big
you've
time.
detailed throughout the year, Stan. So they're going with Boyd, and a big, big loss for them. Cade Horton
Kate
had been
Horton.
pitching as well as any rookie starter in
Yeah.
baseball this year, and they're
Got
not
a
going to have him.
fractured. He's got a fractured right rib.
It sure seems like he's done, and that like they're keeping his options open, but that seems really
I mean,
painful.
I could see him possibly back in the World Series if they made it, but I don't see them making the World Series without him.
Oh, and another thing is that for those of us who will be missing Orioles baseball, this is the closest you're going to get because you know who's on the call for this series on
You
ESPN
told me
or
yesterday.
ABC. I forget which one.
ABC, I think.
It's Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald. They're doing the game.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Yeah.
they both also do some work for ESPN. Ben with SEC Network. I think KB does the softball World Series, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll be on the call of this series. So
That's
that'll be
great. That's great. So Luke, who do you like? You bucking the trend too?
well, I guess we got to go with San Diego because they have so many Baltimore and Orioles connections on that team, right?
That's right.
So you
That's
got
right.
O'Hearn, you got Machado, you got Laureano, you have Gavin Sheets, and you have Jackson Merrill. That's 5.
Is Laureano hurt?
Yeah,
Yes, he's hurt, and that's a big loss for
he's got
them.
a busted thumb.
That's a big loss for them.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
They're playing Sheets in left field right now, which could be a little bit of a liability defensively. And I guess he'll start tomorrow. Oh no, he's on the same team as Pavetta.
Well, and that's the
Boyd is
thing. I don't.
left-handed.
So
Yeah,
Boyd's left-handed, and like 2 of their better bats, Sheets and O'Hearn, are really platoon bats.
yeah,
So I don't know what
yeah.
direction they're going to go there.
Okay, be interesting. Um, look, I was impressed with Council and everything there, the way things were going. I thought it was really lame that at the trade deadline, their only pickup pitching wise, Michael Soroka. I just thought that
Who
was,
immediately got hurt, or
yeah,
maybe he was
he's
damaged
back.
goods.
He's
I
back
mean,
now. He's
yeah,
going to pitch out of the bullpen, but they needed an arm.
yeah. Same thing for Detroit
Yep, yep, yep,
and the Mets.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Just wasn't much starting pitching moved.
All right, so you're going to go with San Diego.
Yeah.
So all three of us like San
All three
Diego.
San Diegos. Yeah.
Okay. Now it's 6 o'clock. You got the New York Yankees, who finished very, very strong, 94-68. They go against the Red Sox, who finished 5 games lesser at 89-73. News today that Lucas Giolito
Yeah.
is not going to be able to pitch. He's not even on their roster for this
Really?
wild card
It's an
round.
elbow issue.
Elbow issue. So
Oh, that's
they're
interesting.
back to Garrett Crochet.
Mhm.
They didn't even mention in the article I read, they didn't mention Bayo. They mentioned this Connerly Early
Right,
and Kyle Harrison.
right.
So what happened to Bayo? Is there something? Has he been
No,
off
I
the
think he's
rails?
fine, right? I
I
haven't
thought he was.
I
So I
think
would
he's
have
fine.
thought he would start game 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll see how that plays out. Who do we like in that series? The Yankees or the Red Sox? The Red Sox have the first game that's the matchup of the day. I know
Right.
you said the Cleveland Detroit game is a great matchup,
This
and
one's
it
even
is.
better.
But this was Max Fried for the Yankees, 19-5, and what's
Yeah,
Garrett Crochet, 18-5,
Something
I
like
right.
that.
think. Yeah. Yankees and Red Sox. I I just like the Yankees' chances to win games 2 and 3. I still think they can win game 1. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
Fried is every bit the equal of Crochet. So I'm going to go with the Yankees in this series.
The Yankees were the best team I saw in September, across baseball. I mean, they are rolling. They've been rolling since about mid-August. And so they're flying high at the right time. I mean, that lineup is really clicking. Aaron Judge is white hot. Giancarlo Stanton's white hot. And they got a lot of hitters around those guys who are really productive, like Jazz Chisholm and Cody Bellinger. Uh, Ben Rice had a good. I mean, it's a really really good lineup. But what really makes has been making them go lately is that rotation, starting with Max Fried, who
Yeah.
was a fantastic pickup this offseason, obviously. He's been
Luke,
fantastic. And
Luke,
then
you and I also were really impressed. Look, Judge is Judge. He's
right,
unbelievable. But Giancarlo Stanton is mashing.
right. And he's always been a guy for them who is hit in the playoffs. I
Yeah.
mean, he's really one of the best postseason hitters of this era.
Well,
Uh,
he heated up at the right time. That's
yes,
he
yes. And
heated up.
so I expect that they'll and really I was talking to Stan about this off the air. The way their starting pitching has thrown over the past 6 weeks, if they can get an early 2 or 3 run homer from Judge or Stanton, those starters can cruise for 7 innings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really, the key for the Yankees is they picked up a lot of big name relievers at the deadline who struggled out of the gate once they got to New York. So like Bednar, um,
Doval.
Paul, and who was the other one?
Doval. Camilo Doval.
Yeah, I thought there was someone else. It might have been Luke Weaver, who they already had. But anyway,
Yeah.
those guys were struggling a little bit, but those guys have locked it down of late. And so if those guys pitch well out of the bullpen, I think they're the best team in
I
baseball.
tell you, with Giolito not being able to pitch,
Yeah.
I saw him. I mean, Crochet the first game. I like Boston, but now I don't think they have enough pitching
Without
against.
Giolito.
The
Yeah,
Giolito
without
that's a big
starting
loss.
wise,
Yeah.
and
That's a
I
big
figured
one.
if you can pitch around Judge and make Stanton beat you,
He will
you
beat
got a
you.
better.
But I
Huh?
will
He
tell
will
you
beat
one
you.
thing. The
Yeah.
Well,
Red
yeah,
Sox,
that's what
Yeah.
I'm
the
not going to let
Red
the most valuable player in the league beat me.
Right.
the Red Sox do have a mixture of youth and experience with Bregman and Story
Right.
having really solid seasons. But I think the Yankees have a little too much
Hey, well,
firepower, and
when did Boston last play them?
they just played last week.
Because
New York,
Boston's 9-4 against the
yeah,
Yankees
they
this
they
year.
won 8 out of the first 9,
Yeah.
Right.
and then the Yankees won 3 of the last 4.
So if you like
I-
Boston, that's a reason that you can point to.
yeah, I did it first, but now with Giolito and at the start, I think the Yankees, like you said, I like them a little bit better.
All right.
So I'm going with the Yankees.
All right. The last series of the wild card round starts at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, also on ESPN. And it features my favorite manager, Terry Francona, against Dave Roberts and the Los Angeles Dodgers. By the way, Clayton Kershaw is not going to be on the wild card roster.
Mhm.
And Jake Peavy took exception to that last night. Said, "How can you not put him on the roster? I get the issues, and he wasn't going to start, but for like sort of the mojo of having him be a part of it, it's really a slight. It's not like
Well, you could put him on the
yes,
next
Yeah,
series.
but
yes,
why wouldn't you want him on this roster?
because he can help you in relief.
Yeah, he can
Uh,
help. It's not like it's not like he was pitching like Charlie Morton or Justin Verlander early in the year. He's been having a good year when
Yeah,
he's
I
been
mean, it
up.
tends to be like 5 inning starts, but
Yeah,
what
he's
is he, 11 and
having a
2
nice year for himself.
he's
Yeah.
11-2.
with a 340 or something like that, earned run
It was
average? No,
really
he's
weird
yeah.
that I guess you pay Tanner Scott that much. You'd much rather have him out there than Clayton Kershaw in
I
the ninth
speak.
inning.
By the
He
way,
scares me.
speaking of good game one matchups, how about Hunter Green and Blake Snell? That's a good one too.
That's a hot one. Yes, 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 yes.
You realize the Reds only won 83 games.
Yes,
The
I
Mets
do
couldn't
realize.
clear that bar.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable with the
that
payroll they have and the big names they have.
Yeah.
But
it is
I mean, Hunter
unbelievable.
Green's good enough that I mean the Reds could absolutely and the with the starters they have behind them with Lodolo and Abbott, like those
If
three
it
can
co-
compete.
if it comes down to strategy, I like Francona and the Reds, but I just can't pick against the Dodgers
No.
yet.
I mean, they're loaded.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
they're
loaded.
absolutely loaded.
They're loaded. I do not see them in the World Series as of right
This
now.
feels like this might be one of those series where maybe you could talk yourself into the Reds, but like Shohei steps into the box in game one and hits like a 450-foot homer off of Green, and it's like, oh, all right, that's the way this is going.
So who will start the three games? Will it be Snell,
Hmm.
Glasnow, and Otani?
I think so.
Oh,
No, Yamamoto.
Yamamoto.
Yeah,
Yamamoto,
I
yeah.
think they would go Otani game three.
Yeah,
Yeah,
over Glasnow.
I think so. I think that's what they're
Okay.
doing.
And by the way, they've moved Roshi Sasaki to the bullpen,
He looks fantastic. I've
and he
seen him
looks
twice in
fantastic.
relief.
He could
Boy,
be,
does he look good out there.
when I say they're not going to get their World Series, he could single-handedly be the difference.
And the other guy, Emmett Sheehan,
Yeah,
who
he's
really
been,
pitched well for them down the stretch as a
yeah,
starter. And I was always the low man on Emmett because he has huge stuff, but I just thought he was a thrower.
yeah.
Gavin Williams was the same way. Huge stuff. I always thought they were a thrower. This second half, those guys have figured it out, and they've really figured out how to pitch. And they still have the huge stuff, and they're going to make some noise in.
All three of us on the Dodgers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's going to wrap up this show. Again, another announcement. Ross, Luke, and I will continue talking on Mondays at around 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, somewhere in there, through the baseball playoffs and the World Series. And then we'll go on hiatus on this Press Box Live show with Paul. All right, that's it for now. Again, many thanks to the Costas Inn with two great locations, North Point Boulevard and on the second floor of the grandstand of Timonium Racetrack, right next to the OTB. That's the Costas Inn. We thank them for their support. For Ross Grimsley, the old left-hander, and Luke, the old right-hander, the young right-hander. I'm
Young.
Stan the Fan. We'll talk to you down the road. Bye.